Welcome back to Let's Make a Game, a channel about making computer role-playing games using the free program Twine and the Sugarcube format for Twine. In this video, I would like to continue talking about my current project of coding a fantasy-themed football simulation. More specifically, I'd like to talk about generating team names, something I started talking about in the previous video. And at the end of the previous video, I said that I didn't have any code to ensure that you didn't get two names that were too similar. So that's what I've done since the last video, and that's most of what I want to talk about. Here we have a list of team names, and the change from last video is not obvious. The change from last video is that particular types of words will never appear twice. So for example, beggars. Because this team says the Longminster Green Beggars, you can know that there's never going to be another team with beggars in their name. Similarly, this team's called the Twiceborn Servants. You won't get any other team with Twiceborn. You won't get any other team with servants. So let's have a look at the code and see how that works. So as you can see, there's quite a few more passages. There was only these two before. Now there's 5 extra ones, but at least 4 of them are almost identical. So I'll just talk about one and then tell you what the differences are. To refresh your memory, in case you've forgotten, the way it works is that we pick, or the system picks, one of these entries in the form array randomly. So it might pick the adjective beings object, and then it turns those words in square brackets. It picks from a particular list. So for adjective, it picks from a list of adjectives in the array called adjectives. So it might pick iron. And then for being, it might pick cutthroat. And then for object, it might go to the object array and pick crown. So that would be the iron cutthroat's crown would be the name of the team. I've added quite a few possibilities to this list, but that's very straightforward. You don't need to really do any new code for that. I've also added a new array called group. Adjective, being, and object we had before, but group is a new one, and it's words like synod, convocation, lodge, sisterhood, brotherhood, words that can be names describing organisations. Sorry, I can't remember where I've put it. Hang on. Ah, there it is. Sorry. Fellowship, order, etc. So how do we make sure, this is the important thing, how do we make sure that we don't get the same word twice? More specifically, anything that's in square brackets. So adjective, being, place, or object, you won't get the same of any of those more than once. How do we do that? Well, I'll show you. So instead of generating everything in this passage, which is what we did last time, we have these includes. And the reason we have these includes is that we might need to pick more than once. We might get a choice that we don't want to use. So let's go to choose form, and I'll show you how that works. We set y equal to a random number from 0 to form.length minus 1. In other words, pick a slot in the form array, but just as a number, not the actual text. Then we say, is $form $y equal to minus minus minus? If it is, that indicates one that's already been used, and we include choose form again. So we keep choosing until we pick one that doesn't equal that dash 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 or minus minus minus. And then in this case we set a equal to form y, so the adjective being's object, for example, or whatever. And this is the important thing, we set form y equal to minus minus minus. So when we go back, when we're picking another team, if we pick that number again, it'll look in the slot and see that it's minus 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 and go, oh, okay, that's one that's been used, and it'll just pick a different one. Now, there's an obvious problem here, which is that if we had more teams than we had entries in this array or in any other array, we'd get an error because it'd just keep looking and keep getting minus, minus, minus. But because we're only picking 5 teams, which is less than the number of entries in any given array, we don't get that error. So we just need to bear in mind that that is a possible problem. Also, if the number of teams sort of got up close to the number in the array but still less than it, it would slow it down because it would get a lot of minus, minus, minuses. So I don't think that would make a significant difference. And that's basically how it works. So when we're choosing an adjective, same thing again, give a number to y. Is adjective y equal to dash, dash, dash? Yes, well, that's no good. Choose again. Otherwise, replace adjective with the entry in the adjective array in slot y and set that slot of the array to dash, dash, dash so it doesn't get picked again. And choose adjective, choose being, choose object, and choose group. The code is identical, except that we're talking about being dot length and being square bracket y in square bracket, whereas we talk about group dot length and group $y, etc. In these other ones. So adjective, being, object, and group, the code is almost exactly the same. And that's how we do it. And so as long as we bear in mind that problem with the number of entries in the array, as long as we keep the number of entries in the array higher than the number of teams that we want, which they well and truly are at the moment, then we'll be fine. I didn't do it with the place names because I thought it was probably fine to have place names that are similar, even identical. You know, if we have two, sometimes you have a city which has two different teams in it, and you know that's fine in real life. So that for now concludes the team name element. I'll be moving on to other parts of the flow of the game in my next video, but that's something we'll talk about then. I will leave it there for now. I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.